Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, folks, very good news for not only the Tennessee Volunteers, also for the Auburn Tigers. This is all really good for both teams. And this video is going to be getting out late. I was stuck at work all day.
Drink it up, big boss! All right, drink it up, gambler.
Yeah, you know how it is. But anyway, enough complaining. Let's get into the Tennessee news first. Our two big tackles, Lance Hurd and John Campbell, our two edge protectors, are back, it would appear, certainly would appear. And Tennessee put out a availability report, which you have to do nowadays in the SEC. And as you can see, the four players out. We knew about Jordan Thomas. He's out for the whole year. Slaughter, Spillman, and Bandy. And you don't see John Campbell or Lance Hurd even listed at all on the report as far as probable, likely, etc. You don't see them anywhere in there. And then Arkansas's availability report, they've got a bunch of folks that are either out or doubtful. They've got 5 different players. They got a doubtful. They got some questionable, probable. So that extra week off was huge for us. And this is huge for the Arkansas game. Tennessee is not the same when they can't protect from the edges and allow Nico to have a little bit of time. He needs 3 or 4 seconds in order to make a proper pass that's more than 2 yards down the field. And with having those two big guys protecting him, that helps a lot. And against Oklahoma, we just weren't able to do that. That's why we only scored 25 points. That and their crappy field conditions.
How dare you!
Nico didn't have enough time. They were coming around the edges. They caused 2 strip sacks. We were lucky to get the ball back the next play both times, which is amazing. And we had a 3-score lead. So obviously Heupel went, let's just hand the ball off and run the clock out, and that'll be the game because our defense was playing so well. And it worked out great. We won by 10 points. But now having these two guys back against Arkansas, who will not have the edge rushers that Oklahoma had, we should be able to do what we need to do. So this is not good news for Arkansas that we now have our shield back.
Oh, I'm afraid the deflector shield will be quite operational when your friends arrive.
Jeez, you don't have to be a dick about it.
Absolutely. Emperor Palpatine knows. We also have some excellent news for the Auburn fans out there. They just picked up Deuce Knight. Now, I know a lot about Deuce Knight. I covered him quite a bit when it was either George McIntyre or Deuce was going to commit to the VOLS. As a matter of fact, Deuce Knight even moved into the state of Tennessee temporarily at one point. He really wanted to play for Heupel. That was obvious. If you watch him play, and I'll tell the Auburn folks this, I watched him play an entire game against that IMG Academy down there in Florida, and his team didn't have near enough talent. Deuce's didn't, and he looked great. I mean, he glides around the field. He's fast as lightning and has a real nice throwing motion. Now, he's left-handed. That was one of the problems I think Tennessee kind of had with him because it messes up your protection. All of a sudden, your key guy, your left tackle, is no longer your blindside guy, and it just it creates a few issues as far as blocking. But I think it's worth it to deal with that, to have a really good quarterback. Now, he's not going to be ready next year as a freshman, so they're going to Auburn's going to have to go get a proven quarterback instead of doing what they did this year and last year, which was they went up to Michigan State and got Peyton Thorne. Now, Peyton Thorne has struggled the last 2 years with turnovers. And sometimes he looks great, and sometimes he looks awful. And I watched an interview with him. The he's really smart. I mean, he knows what the crap he's doing. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to throw interceptions. But I thought this was a super interesting little short interview with him about the pick 6 that he threw at the end of the game against Oklahoma when they had Oklahoma beat. I mean, they beat Oklahoma the entire game, 200 more yards in rushing and passing, and had the ball for 12 more minutes than they did. I mean, they won the game thoroughly. And then in the fourth quarter, they just screwed up as much as you could screw up.
You blew it!
That's why I think Auburn's jinxed. But anyway, here's the interview where he discussed that.
The 3rd and 4, the Oklahoma 43, 4:06 to go in the game. What did you see or did not see on that 3rd down?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I talked to people close to me and our coaches and some of my teammates too. And, quite honestly, if I had that play over 10 times, I probably would have done the same thing 10 times out of 10. And so, it is frustrating for me, and you look back on it, it sucks. However, I got to give credit to them. They had the perfect call on for what we were doing. It looked like zero across the board to me. We had 5 out. We were an empty. They brought 6 guys up on the line of scrimmage. They had their 2 backers mugged up in the A gaps, and so I had to do something with my protection in order to get protected, because obviously we only have 5 guys. So we had talked about sliding away from the boundary defensive end, and I did that. And then my eyes have to go to the mug back or to the boundary, because our number 2 receiver to the boundary had a choice route. He can go in or out. And so, when I'm looking at that and looking at the leverage over number 2, the man playing over him, I was thinking there's a good chance we're getting an in cut here. So I snapped the ball, and I had to slide a little bit because I slid my protection, and we're not blocking the boundary end. Well, I looked at, I think it was number 10 was in the boundary A gap, the backer. He took a step forward and put his hands on our guy, and so did the other backer on the snap. And so I thought they were coming. And then since I have a choice route to the boundary, I have to get my eyes on him to see if he's going in or out. I can't just keep my eyes glued in the middle of the field. And then obviously he won inside. He ran a really good route, and I put the ball, I threw it to him, and unfortunately, they executed their call really well, and they bluffed the pressure enough for me to see and think they were coming. And then when I went to find my receiver, I wasn't able to see him drop out.
Oh no, I've gone cross-eyed.
Yeah, that guy's smart as crap. And I can understand why they've got him as starting quarterback. When Hugh Freeze met with him, he won the interview. That guy is going to win the interview. The problem is he throws interceptions, and he's done it everywhere he's been. He may know what to do, but you still can't throw the ball to the other team. And I'll show you his numbers. Historically, that's what the guy's done. He started in 2021 at Michigan State. He threw 10 interceptions. Now, he did have 27 touchdowns, so that was a decent number. But then the next year, in 2022, it dropped to 19 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. That's a bad, bad number. You can't have 19 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. That will not work. And then it got even worse at Auburn. Their first year, 16 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. That's not even a 2-to-1. And then this year, 10 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. And he got 4 of those touchdowns in the first game against a nobody. So against good talent, he's like 1 for 1. Folks, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, that never works. 2 for 1 doesn't work. 3 for 1 barely works. You really want to be 4, 5, 6 and above. When it comes to touchdown to interception ratio, you should never be, below 3-to-1. And to show you what an ideal is, let's take a look at Hendon Hooker back in 21 and 22. As you can see, he was 31 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That's phenomenal. If you can get to 10-to-1, you're on a whole nother level. And part of that's Josh Heupel's offense, and part of that was Hendon Hooker was fantastic. And if you look at Joe Milton in 2023, he had 20 touchdowns to 5 interceptions, which is 4-to-1, which is that's a good number. That's not near what Hendon Hooker did, but it's still a pretty good number. 4-to-1 is fine. And right now, Nico has 7 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So he's 3.5-to-1, which is not good enough, but Nico will get that up there where he needs to over time. Plus, he runs a lot of touchdowns as well. But anyway, he's at a 70% completion rate, whereas Peyton Thorne's at a 60% completion rate. That also doesn't work. You can't have a low completion rate and throw a bunch of interceptions. So anyway, that's your problem. Again, a super intelligent dude. I have no doubt he knows what to do with the ball, but you still got to be able to execute. And he's having a bit of trouble with that. So you're going to have to go find yourself a good quarterback for next year. Now, I think Peyton's graduating anyway. But spend the money. Hugh Freeze, spend the money. Last time you said, I don't want to spend $1 million on some dude for 1 year. You better spend it or you're going to be out. They'll get rid of your sorry rear end. You're not that good a coach. They're going to put up with that for 3 years. And Deuce Knight's going to be great. I'll just go ahead and tell you, I've got a good feeling about that dude. He is going to be a really good quarterback for Auburn. I would have been fine had he picked Tennessee or had Tennessee gone after him instead of George, even though George looks really good too. I'm torn on those two guys, whether to go for George McKnight or Deuce Knight. But anyway, good news for both teams. And Tennessee having back our protectors is going to be great. I think it'll help us a lot with Arkansas. And I'm looking for our offense to get back on track and score, 30, 40 points where we need to be, not 25. And that'll also calm everybody down. So look for our two edge protectors to have a big impact in this game.
I'm going to use you two guys to do my dirty work for me. It's the gopher.
Yeah, we're going to let them do the dirty work. Arkansas fans are going to get so mad. That's okay. It's good for them. Get your blood pumping. Anyway, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to cover all these big college sports stories. If you've not subscribed, boom, 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 right there. Doesn't cost you a dime. Help you get my videos. Helps me too. And right over here is a video that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy based on your viewing history. We'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.